Diurnal Code, and it's the name of my project. I also like to joke of it and call it Super Burn of Heat 2 Director's Cut. But my game is a turn-based healing game. It was originally designed to be played as a board game. Let's see. You can move your character around. This game was inspired by games like Disgaea, which is a turn-based RPG, turn-based strategy RPG, and games like Awesome Knots, which is an action Dota-style MOBA game. Particularly, it was inspired by the character Voltaire of Awesome Knots, who was a healer character. And while he did have offensive capabilities, his main forte was healing his other allies, his allied bots and his allied players, so that they could more effectively defend him and defeat the other side. So in my game, this is also, the setting is based on Sabr's Bush, Sabr's Mud, which was created by a friend of mine. I met them back in 2005, I think. Might have been earlier than that, I can't remember. In this game, in Diurnal Code, you play as Kilo, who is a mender, and his job is to heal the other characters. As you can see, you can move the characters around by clicking where you want to move and then click the move button. But moving takes up a turn. Turn order is decided up here in the turn order gauge or turn order meter. It displays the name of the character that's going to move and at what time they will move. Time moves based on the turn, so every time a turn is used, the time immediately jumps to that turn. Also, every time the player takes an action, it advances the turn, but the player can also advance the turn by pressing the next turn button, which also serves as a skip function. Okay, it's our turn again, right here, player's turn. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my character. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and attack myself. I can do that until I can restart the level. Or we can just skip turns until we get to the end. Okay, retry. Then I'm back at the start. I want to show you the attack and the aid buttons. They are based on techniques which were originated in Sabers. Technique was a low-cost skill to use, which had effectively the same use as the lightest curing skill, but it didn't cost any resources. And every character has resources, which is equivalent to their MP. They also have HP, as per usual for these types of RPGs or games. And then there's the attack button, which takes away damage, but it has the amount of damage dealt reduced by the defense of the character receiving the attack. Status allows the player to check the status of any given character. So you just tap on the character you want to see the status of and press status. It will report their HP, resources, their potency, which also serves as their attack or their magic capabilities, the defense, which serves as their resistance against attack power, but it does not affect resistance against magical or mending techniques such as aid, and it also reports their current level. In this particular build of the game, the level is determined purely by what is set in the inspector, and there are experience points, but there is no experience point gain. So I'm going to demonstrate now. Let's try, this character tends to kill herself very quickly, so we're going to go ahead and preemptively heal her. Her HP is already maxed though, Bubble Trouble, so it's not going to do any good even though we healed for 10 HP. So when Charlotte's turn comes up, she tends to heal herself. This is being cropped off by the side of the screen. If I made the screen wider, I could see it, but I can't get that on. Don't worry about it. Normally in full screen this does display, but this isn't good. Player's turn again. Let's check her status. Oops, I forgot about the options menu. I'll come back to that later. If I wanted to heal her, let's check her status. She's fine. Let's check her status, and she's fine. So let's advance the turn. Diane attacked herself for 11 damage. That's Diane right there. Let's see, and then Bubble Trouble attacked herself for 10 damage. Now, in this particular build of the game, all the characters will always attack themselves. You're never going to hurt the player, though the player can't hurt them. That's mainly because I was running out of time. But it still gives a way to play the game, even without all the trying to survive your own character. Let's see. Charlotte heals herself, which she's going to pretty much always do. So even if I spent all my turns attacking her, she will still live. Player's turn. Now let's check Diane's status again. Her status is 12 out of 23, so that's less than half. And her HP is a little bit over half. She's a little bit higher level and more likely to knock herself out, so I'm going to heal her. She attacks herself for 11 damage after I healed her for 10. And then Bubble Trouble attacked herself for 10, so she's probably on her last hit point. Charlotte hits herself again, so let's check these character status. She has 1 HP, which she's going to go down in the next turn. And she has 11, which she will most likely not survive one more hit. So smartest thing would be to try to heal her, because it's almost guaranteed she'll survive if I do. Or I can try to heal her, and she might fail to hurt herself, in which case she will survive. So let's try healing her. Yes, Diane was distracted by a shiny magic balloon, so she takes no damage. And then Bubble Trouble was distracted by a shiny magic balloon, so she takes no damage either. Both of them survive in turn, and now that all the turns are spent, we get to go to the next stage, or we can retry the level. But everyone survives, so there's no need for a retry. We could also quit the game from here, which we don't really need to do. So this is the next level. It's mostly the same as the other one, but we have a different arrangement of characters. If I had more time, I'd like to change the cell layout. Originally, the cells were going to give very small stat adjustments, such as like 2% or 20% change, up to 20% change, but I don't have time for that. But I didn't have time to implement that, so I just left it as it was, and right now the cells serve no purpose. Neither does positioning. It's just purely visual. The flow meter up here is relative to the maximum HP of each character, so every character's maximum HP draws from res. And if a character were to try to enter the scene that had a higher maximum HP than a remaining res, they would only get as much HP as remaining res, and then nobody would be able to restore HP or resources after the flow meter hits the bottom. But for the purpose of this game, that's never going to occur. Right here in the options menu, you have the options to toggle the music on or off, so I'm going to demonstrate that briefly. If you toggle the music off, that actually just pauses it. So when you unpause it, it will resume the music where it left off. But I'm going to pause it again for now. And you can also toggle the clicking sound effect on and off right here. So now when I click on things, it doesn't play the sound anymore. Nor does it play until after I finish clicking the button back on. So let's turn the music back on and exit the options menu. Let's see. This one has a whole bunch of characters. It's almost impossible to make sure they all stay alive. I've noticed that Ripple, or let's see, what did he name himself this time? Paulson? No. Anyway, this character has a tendency to knock himself out very quickly. He named himself Storm Dancer this time. So, first turn, there's not a whole lot we're going to benefit from. Storm Dancer attacks himself for 25. Charlotte works to heal herself. Toil attacks herself. Which one was Toil? I forgot to check. Probably this one. Paulson is on the right. These names are randomized. If the character's name is set to question mark, question mark, question mark, it will automatically randomize and pick a name from there. Let's see. Bubble Trouble attacks herself. Player's turn. So let's check the status. And as I said before, this guy has a tendency to knock himself very quickly, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend every turn I have always trying to heal him. And let's just burn for the rest of these turns. Oh, he still knocked himself out. That's because he had more turns than I did, because he was higher level. So he got to perform actions more quickly than I could. Let's see. Already showed options, already showed status, aid, and attack. Again, I can move wherever I want as long as there's a corresponding cell to move to. It doesn't matter if there's a character already there. They're supposed to allow for multiple characters on the same cell and then shrink and rearrange them, but I didn't get around to coding that. And again, the actual position of a character does not affect much in the current state of the game. And we'll go ahead and show this last level. I noticed that at the borders of these windows, sometimes the skybox will stretch out the texture. I'm going to screen. Okay. The borders of the window will go into kind of a stretched out, weird Hall of Mirrors effect, which I thought was kind of surreal, so I thought I'd play with that and have some of my more surreal character come into play. This actually has some of the text that I had from Cerberus, which this game is based on, in the background, as well as a rendering of the setting from there. Let's see. This character is much higher level than the other two. It's level 50, where the other two are level 35, I believe. Yes. So pretty much right off the bat, he's going to knock himself in about 2 or 3 turns, and there's nothing I can do about it. If I had more techniques, in theory, this would be able to be like, oh, the dramatic final confrontation of a guy versus himself, trying to save himself from outing himself. But it doesn't work out that way. He's gone. And now there's nothing else to do. I guess I can show that if the main player character dies, the game does go into a game over state. So if I attack myself for whatever reason, then yes, he will die, and on the next turn, that's not good. Pretend you didn't see that. I'm going to have to go look into that in a minute. Okay, bye.